Morning, Bones.
Morning, Padre. You seen the news on the shooting down at the ICE facility in Dallas, Texas?
Yeah, kind of crazy. It comes right on the heels of Democratic legislation and calls for violence against ICE.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And then the encryptions on the bullets that they found. You know, kind
Right,
of similar to the encryption. Of course, a different subject, but similar to the encryption on the shooting for Charlie Kirk. You
right.
know,
It's almost like they're reading this stuff out of a manual.
I believe that they are. You know,
Inscriptions and being backed and guided and supported by
right.
somebody.
So MSN themselves, I'll say this outright because they're been noted to be a leftist media, news media um, network. But they come out with an article, it says Antifa agitators are calling for further attacks on immigration and custom enforcement facilities as ICE agents already face an unprecedented wave of left wing violence. Anarchistnews.org, an anarcho communist propaganda site, popular among Antifa militants, issued a call this week instructing all anarchists across the country to converge in the streets and wage a carnival of war against ICE. So I haven't looked into that um, website, but I'm going to. You know,
Well,
maybe
right.
that's maybe that's part of where the information for this crap is coming from.
Well, again, there are groups that have got to be calling for this, and we know there are politicians that are passing legislation and supporting anti-ICE movements. I did read that there were some Antifa folks arrested this week, um, but if we go back to this shooting in Dallas, the similarities. You've got a sniper on a rooftop, writing on the bullets, anti-ice, and he shoots at a van loaded with, I'm assuming, ICE agents and immigrants, detainees. Obviously, there were either tinted windows or no windows in this van. Winds up killing two detainees. No ICE officers injured, thank God. But as he is approached, then kills himself. And again, we're talking about another younger man in his 20s, 29, I believe this gentleman was. Um, it, it it's all the calls for violence that are coming out against ICE that are creating this situation. You've got so many false stories out there about ICE and what's going on. You've got websites instructing you what to do if you're stopped by ICE agents. These are government officials putting out a lot of these websites, by the way. You've got Gavin Newsom in California passing mandates stating that ICE officers aren't allowed to wear face coverings. Uh,
Yeah, and they've accused AOC of aiding and abetting the immigrants. You know,
well,
I don't
yeah.
know if they have the proof, but she's been accused of that.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
and who else? You know?
Well, there are several of them. I mean, you look Illinois, we know J.D. Pritzker is anti-ICE. We know the mayor of Chicago is anti-ICE. A lot of these leftist and sanctuary cities have this twisted and warped idea of what their authority is. State authority cannot overrule federal officers. They have no jurisdiction over federal officers. Federal officers are acting under federal law, which is totally separate from the state
Yeah.
laws.
What happens to Gavin Newsom if he confronts somebody, an ICE officer, a federal officer, with that bullshit?
Well, he's going to be arrested for interfering, and the
We would hope.
officers involved in interfering with ICE officers, they're going to be charged as well. That you cannot interfere with a federal investigation. It's cut and dry. You can't pass a law that opposes federal law or claims to outweigh federal law.
Right. We discussed that before, so it can be equal to, but it can't exceed.
Right. I mean, they can be more strict or more lenient, but it can't go against federal law.
Right, right.
But in these sanctuary cities, the protests, the shootings, the attacks on federal buildings, it's getting out of hand, and they're happening weekly. And yet the left claims they're not calling for violence. Ilhan Omar
Yeah,
came right out and
yeah,
asked her people to rise up. It definitely calls for violence, and yet at the same time are claiming that it's the MAGA group that is inciting the
right.
violence.
Yeah, Obama gave a speech last week saying it's not us. We are a law-abiding group that loves America, blah 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 blah. In this speech, and the whole time he's giving it, I'm thinking to myself, bullshit, because there's evidence of everything that's happening and where it points to. It
Exactly.
doesn't point at the Republican Party.
No, and you only have to look as far as the result when a major incident happens. You look at George Floyd, riots in the street and cities burned down. Charlie Kirk, peaceful candlelight vigils.
With the left disrupting the candlelight visuals,
Right, and
you know.
destroying the monuments that are
Right,
created. It's easy to see if you open your eyes who is the party of violence here, who's calling
right.
for it, who's instigating it, and why is it that they don't want ICE to be operating? This is
Well,
their voter base.
big time, big time. They've lost a lot of votes that were like legal, law-abiding citizens here in the U.S. They've lost several of those votes also due to this crap.
Oh, exactly.
So,
People are seeing through it. Uh, you can get Obama and anybody else from the left getting on there saying we're not a party of violence. We love America. Uh, as you stated, bullshit. Your whole plan, your whole platform is to tear it down and make it a socialist country. And you're pissed off that your funding is being shut down. Your illegal operations, your NGOs that are putting money in your pocket, they're being shut down. So you're going to strike out. Deportation is exactly the biggest issue that people voted President Trump in for. Illegal immigration, build the wall, secure our borders, and that's what he's doing. I read an article. You talk about Ilhan Omar, Somalian, in the U.S. illegally, married her brother to get citizenship. There's proof of that now in documentation. Um, the
that's
Biden,
illegal.
yeah, the
That's
Biden
illegal.
administration imported and allowed to illegally immigrate over 74,000 Somalians into that district. And you wonder how they got Ilhan Omar voted in? illegal immigrants. California and Gavin Newsom, he's pissed off. He doesn't want all his voter base deported because it's the illegal immigrants that will give him the edge. He is also, well, and then you look at the House shutdown right now. What are the Democrats threatening to shut the government down over? Okay,
over
we're,
that
we're
that
gonna.
transgender thing.
Well, no, their demand, or they're going to shut the government down, is you need to pass this bill that gives health care to illegal immigrants to the tunes of millions of dollars. We want that funded. It all has
Yeah,
to
they,
do with illegal immigrants and giving them money. And if they don't get
yeah,
their money, they want to shut the government down. Who are
yeah.
they supporting, Bones? Who are they supporting? The
Well,
American
they're
citizens?
definitely not supporting the American citizens. They're definitely not supporting the United States of America. They're supporting illegal immigrants coming into the country. So, like we've been saying, so they can maintain their voter level, um, their voter base. Um,
Well, and
which is
also, Bones, it's not even just the voter base. It's these programs they're asking for, these millions of dollars that they
yeah,
claim are going to go to all these,
that's
are going into the NGOs and
well,
going right back into these politicians' pockets.
that's right. Why I brought up the transgender thing because it's in there, giving money to people that want to change sex. You
Right.
know, it's in there.
And at the same
Um,
time, you got the federal government, the Trump administration turning around saying, we will not spend any money federally on sex change operations, especially for juveniles.
exactly.
It's two issues that are on the forefront and that are being bucked back against by the left. This transgender stuff and illegal immigrants. And again, Bones, we've talked about it a million times. You want to be transgender? Fine, do it. I don't want to hear about it. And I damn sure don't want to
Yeah,
pay for it. You want to, illegal immigration. You're illegal. That's the key. One of the politicians
yeah,
came out and actually said, just because you're in the country illegally does not mean you've committed a crime. Are you serious?
yeah. That's a yeah. I don't know. That's a false
How
statement there. That
how can you say just because you do something illegal, you're not a criminal? I think
right.
that's the
That
very
would give me
definition of it.
yeah. That'd give me carte blanche because I'm always in need of money, right? So
Right.
if I go down and I rob a bank and claim that I did it, uh, you know, on the reason that I did it was because I needed the money, so you can't arrest me, you know.
Well, right. Just because you illegally took that money does not make you a criminal. We shouldn't
No,
be
no,
able
that's
to
what I said.
investigate that.
Yeah.
We
Why are you standing on my front porch with handcuffs, officer? I want to know.
Yeah, and the left would support you in that. Oh, you're being illegally detained. Um,
Oh, gee.
the statements that are coming out, that was just one of them. Just because you're here illegally, you're not a criminal. Another statement from the left: law enforcement is not there to prevent crime; they're there to investigate them and solve them. Really? Wow.
They're there. They're there to do both, right? So an,
Exactly.
ar- an arrest can be made, uh, and people can be released from being arrested uh, under the circumstances they found evidence to prove that they're not the one they were looking for. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it can happen. I've been detained and put in a cell
Yeah.
and then released because they found out differently. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the rat, but somebody
Right.
somebody else come in and told them. You know,
Right. Um, it just this leftist view of anti-law enforcement in any capacity, whether it's federal or local. I mean, we've covered two major officer shootings where officers have died due to ambush. And it's this leftist call for violence that's making people think this is okay. Cops show up,
yeah,
well,
I
I'll
don't.
just shoot them. The
Right,
government's got my back.
I don't agree with any of that. I think um, the Second Amendment rights there for a reason. Now look back in time, like Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. They had carte blanche. They could have come into the West Coast and probably made it to Mississippi before they got shut down. They asked the generals after the war why they didn't do that. And you know what they said?
Oh, I have heard it, but I won't steal your thunder.
They said that they knew every American household had hunting rifles and guns, and they don't believe they would have been successful past California.
The quote was, in America, there's a rifle behind every blade of grass.
Exactly.
And that wasn't, the Second Amendment was put there to keep tyranny out of the government and to be able to defend ourselves against tyrannical government. But that doesn't preclude that other countries know our citizenry is armed with a lot of
Right.
veterans.
So a gun in the right hands is a tool, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
Gun in the wrong hand, and a gun in the wrong hands is detrimental.
Hmm.
So it's not the gun.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure that's out there. Um, the people that are pushing this and shooting, what kind of a brainwashing is going on some of these websites is what I'm wondering. What kind of, and can you imagine if Hitler had access to the World Wide Web?
Oh, holy cow. We'd probably all be speaking German.
So now Antifa has access, and they're claiming they are claiming uh, that they're instigating these attacks,
Yeah.
right? So if you've got access to the World Wide Web, what kind of underlying underground stuff is really going on? And then the government, the FBI and stuff, has a major chore in trying to get that shut down.
Well, and
You know,
it's not only these groups like Antifa. You've got they're investigating George Soros again for funding violence and supporting groups and paying for these violent protests and violent acts. Um, he Politicians are on the left are coming right out and calling it out and then saying they're not. Uh, they have to get people believing that all guns are bad because they realize right now if they were to try to start a takeover, it wouldn't end well for them. They want to take everybody's guns away. Good luck with that. Uh,
yeah.
oh, and the other thing Gavin Newsom has done, he's pushing for legislation and an act to censor social media in California, so that they will have moderators that go in and anything that doesn't agree with his agenda or that they feel is detrimental to LGBT, to illegal immigration, they are going to wipe it off social media. Uh,
So yeah, so you look at that for a second. So history can repeat itself.
mm-hmm.
I think think it was 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong, but UK banned guns for their citizens.
Yeah, it was
Collected
right around there. Yeah.
collected all the guns and stuff. Oh, 5 years later, 6 years later, whatever it might be, they're arresting people for what they say on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Walking in their house and arresting them.
Exactly.
So people talk about, well, we want to keep free speech, right? That Jimmy Kimmel bullshit. They were
Mm-hmm.
shutting down the First Amendment, the right to free speech. Well, what about Charlie Kirk?
Well, and
He's taken out by
that's the whole point. I had a conversation with a friend on social media that had posted about Jimmy Kimmel and how it was so wrong. Hmm. The first thing you point out is, oh, he can't be sanctioned for something he says, but Charlie Kirk can be killed for something he says, and that's okay. But let's take a look at the First Amendment right of free speech. And my statement to them was, you are free to say whatever you want to say in this country. However, you're not free of the consequences thereof.
That's exactly correct.
You walk into your workplace and make racial slurs, you're gonna be fired. You walk into your workplace, you make sexual innuendo or sexual comments, you are going to be fired. It's law. It's federal law. If you walk into your workplace and create violence through your speech, you can be fired. I guarantee you, anybody listening, walk in tomorrow morning, walk into your boss's office and say, you're a piece of shit, I'm going to punch you in the face, and see how long you have a job.
Not very long.
So, yes, you have the right to say it, but you are not free from the consequences of those words. Jimmy Kimmel, the words he said, and now he's back on the air apparently. ABC is claiming that they took his show off due to poor ratings. But it's just ridiculous. The people are crying about, oh, I'm being fired from my job because I celebrated somebody's death. Well, wow. No brainer there. No brainer. If a coworker's wife or father or mother died and you went in and celebrated and danced a jig in front of their face, aside from probably getting punched in the mouth, you would be fired.
Yeah. Well, over the years, I was punched in the nose, broken nose for something that I said.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
made me think about what I'm going to say.
most disagreements, in fact, I believe the statistic is 95% of them are due to poor communication, which means something somebody said that wasn't agreed with. This is
Right.
how arguments happen. This is why shootings occur. This is and the propaganda and the way that language is being used and twisted to incite and make violence okay is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. Violence is unacceptable in my book. I'm sure violence is unacceptable in a plethora of people's books.
Well,
And they're trying to make it. They're trying to make it okay.
only on their side though, because if any violence occurs against them, then oh my God, we got a problem.
Right.
If a leftist gets shot, oh my God, we got to take away guns. If it's somebody from the GOP, well, he deserved it. He deserved it.
Right. Right.
He was just spouting
Right.
off his mouth. He was saying the wrong things. This is their agenda, and quite honestly, Bones, I'm getting pretty tired of it, as are a lot of people. The double standard, the blatant lies to the public's face about these issues, the calls for violence by people in our government to act out violently against law enforcement, federal ICE officers, politicians, anybody that would dare disagree with them or stand in their way. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's almost like Soviet rule back in the early days, 20s, 30s, 40s. You know,
Mm-hmm.
almost like what was going on there. Um, do as I say, not as I do, or I will kill you.
Mm-hmm. Censorship, taking away weapons, calls for violence to anybody that has a different opinion. All these things, people, you need to wake up, look at where it's coming from, open your eyes, and be aware.
I would say so, indeed. Along with all of that, everybody try to find some positive in your day. Move forward in a positive manner. Don't change the way you are. Just become a better person.
I agree. So from Padre Havoc and Bones, man, our little rant on this leftist movement to call for violence, which is, it's nothing short of that, folks. You can call it what you want. It's blatantly obvious. I don't care what source you look at. The statements are there. They're not going anywhere. As Bones said, that doesn't mean we have to respond violently. It means we need to recognize it and find a way to politically shut it down. We need to vote these people out of office. We need to put people there that care about America. We need to assist our law enforcement, support our law enforcement on local, state, and federal levels all the way around. If you're doing something illegal, again, you're going to pay for it, and you have to know that. Uh, I guess we've beat this up a little bit, Bones, but
Yeah, we have.
you
That's
said
okay.
it best, man. Everybody needs to try to stay positive and focus on the good, support what is right, and start calling out this leftist movement, pointing it out. And
Yeah,
that's how we'll stay positive, folks.
yeah. Stay positive and stay safe out there.